But first, the European Commission is set to publish a series of measures aimed at easing the bureaucratic impact of the Northern Ireland Protocol. Now, it prevents a hard border on the island of Ireland. The UK's Brexit minister has already warned the EU it will make a historic misjudgment if it doesn't rewrite the deal according to British demands. While the UK left the European Union over a year and a half ago, the tug of war over hammering out the details of the Brexit divorce continues. Now, for more on this story, we can go across to France 24's Dave Keating, standing by in Brussels for us. Dave, the EU Commission is set to unveil these measures or ideas, whatever you want to call it. Are all the 27 members of the bloc on board?
They are not. I mean, it's important to point out this is not giving the UK what it's asking for, because the UK government is asking to actually completely tear up the Brexit deal that was agreed 2 years ago and rewrite it. That isn't what the Commission's going to put forward today. They're going to suggest a series of ideas as a compromise, but it's a major, major compromise, because as far as we can tell, and we'll have the details out later today, but as far as we can tell, it would mean that about 50% of goods passing between Northern Ireland and the rest of the United Kingdom would not need to go through customs checks. That is a major, major change, and it has a lot of national governments in the EU very worried, particularly France, because this essentially would represent a kind of chink in the EU's customs union armor. They would have this open passageway into the EU single market via the United Kingdom through Northern Ireland over to the Republic of Ireland, where all of those goods, a lot of which is food and medicines, can come through unchecked. And what has a lot of people, particularly in Paris, quite worried is that if the UK were to strike free trade deals with, let's say, the United States, that means food of American standards, which are usually lower than EU standards, would be able to kind of sneak in through this back door, through Northern Ireland. So this proposal isn't hugely popular with all national capitals. It doesn't even seem to have been very popular within the Commission. There was fierce fighting, I'm told, internally here at the Commission headquarters before this was given the rubber stamp unofficially on Monday and more officially today. But they still have to sell it to the national ambassadors. So it's important to note these are just ideas, and the ideas that the Commission is putting forward here may not even be palatable to the national capitals. So this is going to take a lot of negotiating, although the Commission says they are not renegotiating the Northern Ireland Protocol. This is a, quote, dialogue.
Okay, a dialogue, and I feel that it's going to last a long time, these negotiations. But how does this all compare, these ideas, if you will, with what the UK wants?
Well, what the Brexit Secretary David Frost from the UK suggested yesterday in his speech is that he wants the deal that was agreed 2 years ago completely torn up, and he wants them to start over. It's a strange thing for someone to say who signed that deal just 2 years ago, but essentially he said that the UK government signed the treaty knowing that this protocol had problems. Now, he certainly didn't vocalize that feeling at the time. They went to the British public and said this is a great deal. They won an election based on saying it was a great deal. But in his speech yesterday, Frost said, actually, we knew all along this was a problem. The obvious question then, why did you sign it? Now, when asked if the UK had signed their Brexit divorce deal in bad faith, Frost said, no, the UK signs all of its international treaties in good faith, but the protocol has shown itself to not work and not be acceptable to one half of the community in Northern Ireland, that is the Unionist community. The problem is, it was never acceptable to the Unionist community. They always were against this deal, and they were very vocal about it. The government just ignored them and signed it anyway. And then the other problem, of course, is that the UK hasn't ever actually made any effort to implement these customs checks within the UK in order to prevent a hard border on the island of Ireland. They've extended the grace period unilaterally and now without end in order to not have to implement those checks, which are politically difficult for them. So there is a lot of ill feeling here in Brussels about the UK. Particularly, there is a feeling here that they signed this deal never intending to implement what they were promising to implement and to always try to come back to it later, which is why I think there's not a big appetite here to reopen this treaty, to renegotiate it, and there's certainly not an appetite to drop the oversight of the European Court of Justice over this arrangement, which is what the UK is asking for.
Dave, thank you very much for your clarifications. Dave Keating reporting there for us from Brussels. Now, the French defense